General Hospital spoilers suggest that Giovanni Gio Palmieri may defy Sonny Corinthos' orders, with fatal consequences. Will Jen Sidwell hit Grandpa Sonny where it hurts and pursue Gio? In the July 10th episode, Gio overheard Sidwell discussing the travel to Belize and his desire to revive the Natalia Ramirez inquiry. Gio raced immediately to Sonny's house and informed his grandfather. However, Sonny's reaction was swift and ferocious. Gio was cautioned to stay out of it since Sonny is frightened about Sidwell's threat, particularly after what happened to Christina Corinthos Davis at Charlie Pub. Sonny does not want Gio to listen in on Sidwell's discussions or do anything else that could put him in danger. It's easy to understand why Sonny is so concerned, given that Christina could have died in that fire. In truth, Sonny acknowledged Tracy Quartermain's right to protect Gio and advised his grandson to simply stay away from him, at least for now. Despite Carly Spencer's efforts to persuade Sonny to stop fighting Sidwell, things appear to be on the verge of escalating, especially if he attacks Marco Rios. Carly has been anticipating that someone else will get harmed, which might easily be Gio. Staying away from Sonny may not be enough to keep Gio safe, given that everyone is aware of their blood relationship. It's not like the distance will change anything regarding Gio and Sonny's family relationship. Unfortunately, if Gio defies Sonny's commands, he may make himself an even bigger target. Despite Sonny's demands that Gio stay away from Sidwell, Gio may not listen and end up doing something to provoke Sonny's opponent. It makes reasonable for Gio to be in serious danger and possibly facing a huge hospital crisis. This could mean some bad news for Joe's loved ones in the following weeks. It would be an ideal situation for Brooklyn Quartermain and Dante Falconeri to unite around their injured son, as they reflect on all the time they've missed. If Gio is wounded as a result of Sonny and Sidwell's growing antagonism, it could be the tipping point for Sonny. This could escalate into a situation in which Sonny refuses to stop until he has utterly destroyed Sidwell and the empire he is attempting to construct in Port Charles. According to General Hospital spoilers, Gio may pay the price if he defies Sonny's desires and becomes embroiled in more Sidwell turmoil, so stay tuned for updates on the chaos. At the Quartermain boathouse, Michael approached Sasha while holding Daisy. He knew she had been watching Daisy non-stop and offered to help. She thanked him, but added that after what happened last night, she would never let her baby out of her sight again. Michael attempted to console and reassure Sasha that Daisy was well, but Sasha felt there were too many strange things going on. When Michael stated that he had no idea what was going on, but that there may be many perfectly acceptable answers, Sasha remarked, "You think I'm insane, don't you?" She understood how things can appear, but she made it plain that she wasn't dreaming things and that the problem wasn't her fatigue, hormone imbalance, or postpartum depression. She realized that her previous mental health and drug troubles could cause Michael to distrust her, but he did not. She was relieved to learn that he believed all she said and was listening. Sasha believed, either someone is intentionally trying to gaslight me, or someone is attempting to demonstrate that they can get to our daughter whenever they want. Which is why Daisy and I must go immediately. Michael promised to increase security, but Sasha no longer felt comfortable there. He was astonished to learn that Sasha was not talking about moving elsewhere in town, but rather leaving Port Charles entirely. Sasha sensed something was wrong, and she didn't want to sit around waiting to find out what it was. She needed to do whatever was necessary to safeguard Daisy, even if it meant uprooting her life and abandoning her friends and family. Adamant, she stated, "I have already lost one child, Michael. I will not go through it again." When she claimed she would have to leave with Daisy and go into hiding on their own, Michael indicated he couldn't let her do so, although it was unclear what he meant. Cody headed to Alexis' residence to give Christina an update. He was concerned that he had overplayed his hand by kissing Ava the night before, and he cautioned Christina that he might not be able to separate Ava from Rick after all. He informed Christina about Ava slapping him after he kissed her, but when he stated she requested him to stay and finish the task, Christina saw it as a positive indication. Cody began to express mixed emotions. In a way, he wanted to be done with it all, confessing that Ava was more than he had realized. Christina disagreed that there was more to Ava, saying, "Whatever goodness you think you see in Ava, it's all an act. You are aware of the horrific things she has done." He understood but added that Ava had also experienced horrible things, such as the loss of Kiki. Christina acknowledged that what happened to Kiki was awful, but she pointed out that Ava did not learn from it, and instead continued to plan and wreck people's lives. She went on to underline how much happier Molly would be if Rick was with Elizabeth rather than Ava. Cody wanted to tell Molly what they were doing, but Christina claimed she would never agree. Molly walked in right as Christina was explaining it was best to keep their idea a secret. Christina hid the truth by claiming Cody was truly lovely. Molly was noticeably upset when Cody mentioned that he helped hang the pictures at Ava's gallery and was going to the Joel Sartor show tonight. Molly was upset after he departed since Christina had not used the opportunity to disparage Ava in front of Cody. Molly didn't like Cody being around horrible woman Ava, and claimed seeing them in the pool the previous day was like watching some creepy spider weave her web. When Christina urged her not to worry about Cody because he was a big guy who could take care of himself, Molly remarked, "Oh please. He may believe he's Mr. Smooth Operator, but we both know Ava will chew him up and spit him out." When Christina mentioned how worked up she was, Molly claimed Cody had come to her rescue a couple of times, and she considered him a friend she didn't want to lose. Christina inquired if she wanted to be more than sort of friends. Molly claimed she and Cody had nothing in common, and wondered why anyone would believe she was interested in him. She stated that she did not want Ava to devour him alive, which differed from having feelings. Christina had to look away when Molly asked how he got engaged with that woman in the first place. At the hospital, Elizabeth and Lucas were conversing when Rick interrupted. Lucas attempted to excuse Elizabeth from speaking with Rick by claiming she was due to assist him in trauma too. She did not take the exit, however, and instead stayed to speak with Rick, who had invited her out. Elizabeth stated that she already had plans to visit the Joel Sartor show. Rick said he was going anyhow, so they should go together like on a date. When he saw her peculiar reaction, he explained that he didn't mean it as a date, and was simply using a figure of speech. She questioned whether he was certain about that. She went on to commend some of his finer characteristics and express her real enjoyment of his company, but she didn't want to mislead him. He stated that he had and would always respect her boundaries, apologized if he had overstepped, and claimed that all he wanted or needed was her friendship. Carly approached Willow at the nurse's station and explained, "Michael told me what you did. You're not going to get away with it." She admitted she was aware of the event in the pool, where she waited for Wiley to notice her. Willow wondered how Carly could blame her when she hadn't been allowed to see her children. Willow reacted angrily when Carly reminded her that she could still see her children if she didn't marry Drew, saying that she and Michael couldn't tell her how to live her life. When Willow announced that she and Drew were getting married, Carly said she couldn't stop the train wreck, but she could ban her from Metro Court if she pulled another act like that, and the judge would find out. Willow asked Carly how she could be so heartless, to which Carly replied, "I am heartless. What did you call my kid while he was fighting for his life in Germany? Absent Michael. I didn't forget about it." Lucas approached to intervene before the incident worsened. After Willow left, Lucas told Carly that he had brought her there because he had a significant favor to ask. He wanted her to help safeguard Marco from Sonny. Given the circumstances, he felt it was reasonable to believe Sonny may pursue Marco, but Carly said he was rushing to too many conclusions. He asked Carly if she could give him entire trust that Marco would be safe. Carly stated that Sonny did not target civilians or innocent individuals, and Lucas inquired about Marco's ties to his father's business. Lucas claimed Marco was determined about just conducting his father's legitimate business activities, and he trusted him. He believed Carly had the best chance of reaching Sonny and begged her to speak with him. She was concerned that Lucas was overestimating her influence, but he warned that if Sonny harmed Marco, it would spark an all-out conflict that would damage everyone. Later, before leaving, Elizabeth checked in with Lucas to see how Marco was doing. They could only speculate on whether Marco could have reached his mother in time, but agreed that he was courageous in saving Christina, which Lucas hoped would be recognized and appreciated by certain people. They then discussed Rick's interest in her. She told Lucas that she had said all the proper words to set her limits with Rick, but seeing each other at Ava's gallery would put his respect for them to the test. Lucas wondered if Rick was the messiest man in the world, and would have to answer to Aunt Ava if he continued to pursue Elizabeth. Drew and Kai were swimming in the Metro Court pool. Drew thanked Kai again for informing him about Curtis' plans to ambush him with Jacinda. Kai stated he battled with telling Drew what he overheard Curtis say because he didn't want Drew to be blamed for something he didn't do. Drew praised Kai's honesty, ethics and understanding, and stated that he had a strategy to stop Curtis and Portia. Kai claimed Trina meant everything to him, and he was afraid she would feel betrayed by his conduct. He hoped she would realize that he had to do what he believed was right, and if she didn't, he hoped they could agree to disagree. He eventually decided that it was best to accept responsibility for his acts, even if the results were unpleasant. Kai departed after Willow arrived. Willow advised him to enjoy things while they could because Carly had threatened to ban her from the pool. She felt Carly and Michael were punishing her simply because she wanted to see her baby. Drew warned her that they needed to tread cautiously because the visitation hearing was coming up, and they didn't want to give Michael ammunition. Drew claimed Michael was still attempting to punish her for leaving him, but they were going to show that they were the more stable, caring family for the kids. They would secure visitation first, followed by custody. Willow became increasingly irritated since Michael held Wiley, Amelia, and Daisy while her arms were empty. Drew expressed regret that their friendship had put her in this situation. Willow insisted that it was all Michael's fault, and that Drew had only ever loved and supported her. They promised to love each other and look forward to marrying. Felicia went to Curtis' Aurora office to give him an update on Jacinda's whereabouts. Jacinda agreed to fly back to Port Charles and speak with Curtis about Drew. Jordan knocked on the door while they were still talking. After Felicia left, Curtis informed Jordan that Jacinda had agreed to meet with him. Curtis was still certain that blowing up Drew's life was the greatest way to protect his wife. When Curtis stated he wanted to try to explain what happened the other day when Jordan walked in on him and Portia, Jordan assumed Portia was sending her a message to avoid him. She said she disagreed with Portia's approach but thought she was completely correct. Jordan stated that it was never her desire to cause problems in his marriage, but Curtis assured her that it was not her fault. He was the one who drew her into his marital issues, and she was simply there for him when he needed a buddy. Jordan informed him that before things got much messier, she needed to do the right thing and leave his life. After Curtis assured her that she had not broken any lines, she stated that she wanted things to remain that way since she did not want to be held directly or indirectly responsible for his marriage's demise. She felt it was best if they didn't see each other outside of business or family situations. He agreed with her and admitted to relying on her in ways that were unfair to her and Portia. He commended her for saying anything, calling her a class act and an incredible woman. After Jordan left, Felicia returned to notify Curtis that Jacinda was not at the airport and that her home had been entirely wiped out. Felicia assumed Jacinda had backed out, but Curtis recognized Drew right away. Kai approached the door and Curtis responded, "No, it was Drew. He somehow got to her. How the hell did he know what I was doing?" With Cody's assistance, Ava's gallery was set up and operational. She and Trina talked excitedly about the Joel Sartor concert. Ava spoke about how helpful Cody had been, which Trina found intriguing. Trina wondered how Ava could afford the new state-of-the-art lights. Ava reminded her that her financial blip had passed, therefore she was free to splurge despite Rick's frugal financial advice. They briefly discussed Trina's parents and Kai. Ava was delighted that Trina was finding happiness with Kai, and told her she deserved nothing but the best. Still uninformed, Kai told Drew about her parents, and Trina expressed how wonderful her connection with Kai was. Ava bemoaned that she did not feel the same way about Rick and informed Trina about her dispute with him yesterday. When Cody came, Ava greeted him, "Well, if it isn't my hammer-wielding angel." After Trina left, Ava told Cody that he had cleaned up properly and apologized for kissing her the night before. She claimed it was bygones, and he more than made up for it by being so helpful. Rick later arrived with flowers and a check filled with zeros for Ava. Apparently, he had Alexis release additional money and include a little extra so Ava could use it for the gallery. He wanted to remind her that they were in this together, and he hated clashing with her yesterday. Cody approached from the side as the two were reconciling. Jason came to Sonny's residence to inform him that 2 bodies had been recovered from the port that morning. The bodies were those of Selena Wu's associates, as shown on Charlie's surveillance tape. They expected Dante to interview them soon after discovering the bodies, but they knew he should be questioning Sidwell instead. The two were convinced that, Even if Selena was involved in the attack, she was set up by Sidwell, the mastermind behind everything that was going on. Sonny wanted Sidwell to answer for nearly killing his daughter Christina. Jason observed the distinctions between the two flames. The fire at the penthouse, which injured Michael, was lit with a less sophisticated device, but the one at Charlie's was started using old-school means. They knew that there could be a threat on two fronts, making it even more difficult to defend their family, so they increased security. Jason told Sonny that he was not responsible for Natalia's murder, but Sonny wished things had been different. Even though Natalia did not give over her proof to Turner, Sonny felt it was prudent to withdraw his investment from deception just in case. However, at the time, Sidwell was the priority since Sonny did not want the fire to continue unattended. He stated that they needed to send the message, "You come after my child, your child will pay," which would be bad news for Marco. Carly arrived. When Sonny inquired what brought her there, she explained that she was there to prevent another one of their children from being killed. Portia ran into Stella and told her Trina was going to be pleased to meet them at her opening. Stella noticed the time and said she couldn't go, but she wondered if Portia would meet Curtis there, as she wasn't sure about his schedule. Felicia informed Curtis at his office that Jacinda had left and her place had been wiped out. He was frustrated, claiming Drew must have known what he was up to and approached her. Kai overheard and knocked at the door. Felicia left, and Kai informed Curtis that he overheard them saying they couldn't find Jacinda. Kai stated he had heard they were bringing her to Port Charles to help smear Drew. "I'm the one who warned Drew," he explained. Drew strolled in as Curtis was telling Kai that he was meddling in affairs about which he knew little. He had just met with Ezra, who had given him everything he needed to take down Sonny and the mayor. Curtis informed Drew of Kai's actions and accused Drew of playing with the kid's head. Kai claimed he had no regrets. "You don't have to explain anything else to me, but you will have to explain to Trina," Curtis said with a laugh. Kai informed Curtis that he was sorry he was angry, and that everything turned out the way it did, but he believed he did the right thing. Curtis and Drew got into an argument after Kai left. Drew recounted how he and Portia committed a crime by drugging him, and then covering it up. He questioned Curtis about how he was the evil guy in the situation. Drew asked Curtis to call his bluff and go straight to the cops, or he could do one simple thing for him: write a front-page story on Sonny and Natalia. "That sounds like an Invader headline," Curtis informed him. Drew wanted it to be an Aurora narrative with an accurate depiction of how Sonny was detained by police for 24 hours and questioned about Natalia's death. He also asked him to print a history of Sonny and Natalia's relationship, and then handed him the envelope containing the autopsy report he'd received from Ezra. He claimed he had more than enough to print. "Isn't pursuing Sonny a little price to pay for your wife's freedom?" Drew asked. Drew watched gleefully as Curtis issued the order to publish the piece. Laura met Marty at the hospital, and he expressed gratitude that his physical therapist was able to fix him instead of requiring surgery. Laura questioned his statement about being able to obtain therapy and worried if he was in trouble. He claimed he was only in back pain because of Tracy. Laura cautioned him against going to war with Tracy. Stella interrupted by wanting to talk with Martin privately. Martin praised Stella for getting his insurance reactivated. She told him he had to keep quiet about it or they would both be in big danger. Stella scolded Marty on taking better care of himself. She explained that it was preferable for both of them if he didn't know how she finessed the system when she completed his paperwork. Ava organized an event at the art gallery to promote photographer Joel Sartor's book, Photo Arc Babies. Rick commended Ava on her work, and Cody chatted with Elizabeth. Cody accidentally spilled wine over Liz's shirt, and while Rick tried to clean it off, Ava frowned. She advised Trina to try to contact Kai and find out why he wasn't there yet. Cody informed Ava that her presentation was a big success, and she took him to see some art. Trina revealed to Gio and Jocelyn that she had no idea why Kai was late, but thought he was working late. When Jordan arrived, Sidwell grabbed her aside and said he needed to talk to her about Sonny. Gio overheard and secretly listened as Sidwell requested her to get the PCPD to keep the inquiry into Natalia's death ongoing. Sidwell intimated to Jordan that Natalia committed suicide because she did not want what Sonny had planned for her in Belize. Rick noticed Ava enjoying herself with Cody and interfered. They argued over their flirtation with Elizabeth and Cody, then about Christina, and finally about who needed the other more. "Without me, you're just some lawyer with a schoolboy crush," she said. Rick departed before one of them said something they regret, as Cody observed. Emma begged Jocelyn to find a way inside the lab because he was up to something, but Joss refused to discuss work with her. Emma stated she was going to meet Vaughn regardless. "Have some fun, Emma," Jocelyn hissed. "Yeah, we both will," Emma smiled as she walked away. When Jordan and Portia met at the art museum, Jordan told her that she had told curates that they would not risk blurring any lines, so they would only see each other when they couldn't avoid it. She went on to say that she wasn't interested in being involved in someone's marriage, and didn't want to be a part of Jordan and Curtis's relationship. Curtis must have swallowed that little speech with a spoon. "I don't believe a word of it," Portia snickered. Back at the hospital, Lucas handed Marco his mother's jewelry. He was furious and insisted that his mother did not commit suicide, either by accident or on purpose. Marco didn't care what the report said. He told Lucas he was blaming Sonny. Ezra stepped in and swore to make Sonny pay. Just then, the journalists rushed out of the elevator, approaching Marco and questioning him about Natalia's death. Ezra intervened to speak to the cameras, creating the scenario, before Marco implicated Sonny. Ezra noticed Laura walking by and asked her in front of the press whether she would look into Sonny's involvement in Natalia's death. Laura said the case was closed and advised that everyone, including Ezra, let it go. He claimed she was being typical by not asking anything about Sonny. He told Marco on the air that Sonny was questioned but released. Marco told Ezra that his attempt to exploit his mother's death was brazen, and he threatened to sue if he didn't stop harassing him. Marco then told Laura that he understood Ezra's personality, and wasn't surprised he'd fall so low. Laura was relieved that he saw him for who he was. Marco told her he disagreed with his father on many issues, but make no mistake, he hated Sonny for his mother's death. "And do you consider that man a friend? Shame on you," he said. Laura stated that Marco's emotions were skewing his perspective on Sonny, and that legally, the situation was different. "And morally? Ethically?" he asked. Laura told Marco that he was deeply sorry for his loss and wished him serenity before leaving. When Lucas was alone, he noticed how well Marco managed Ezra. He reassured Marco that his thoughts regarding Sonny had no influence on their relationship, and that he was not leaving. Carly chastised Sonny in front of Jason for attempting to retaliate for what happened to Christina by going after Marco, telling him that Sidwell would have no choice but to fight back. Sonny refused to discuss it with her, but Carly warned him that starting a war would endanger their children's lives. Michael interrupted by contacting Jason, who took off to meet with him. "Admit it, Sonny, when you heard it was Michael, your heart stopped," Carly yelled at him. Carly informed Sonny that Marco had saved Christina, but Sonny stated that it was about Sidwell, and that he needed to face the consequences. Carly explained that he realized it was a trap, and that he needed to find another method to convince Sidwell to back down. She told Sonny to learn from Morgan's death, but he said he would figure it out. Carly and Sonny agreed that when they found out Morgan had died, they wished they could go back in time and undo what had happened. "This is your chance, Sonny," Carly informed him. "Now is the moment. You must put an end to the violence before we lose another person we care about." Gio came as Sonny walked and mused. He apologized for interrupting Carly, but she was already leaving. She asked Sonny to think about it before leaving. When Gio was alone, he told Sonny about Jen's and Jordan's talk. Sonny firmly advised Gio to remain out of it and away from him. He replied Tracy was correct and was attempting to save him. Sonny stated that he had recognized throughout his life that he made decisions that were too late to safeguard his family, but he needed to do so now. He advised him to keep away from Sidwell. Gio wanted to support him, but Sonny claimed the worst-case scenario was that something bad occurred to Gio as a result of his actions. For the time being, he asked that everyone remain away. Gio cried as he hugged him before leaving, reluctantly agreeing to remain away. Michael stopped Sasha and the baby and assured her that he could let them go, alone. Sasha recommended they consider about a location together. Michael stated that either someone was targeting their kid or using her to gaslight her, and she could not simply go without protection. When Jason arrived, Michael explained what had occurred to Daisy and that Sasha and the baby needed to go. Michael agreed that it was not safe for them. "Where would you like to go?" Jason asked. Jason stated that he would acquire a location, after which they could settle in. Sasha thanked them both for their assistance rather than simply amusing her. Michael stated he knew she was making the right choice and picked up Daisy. Sasha said she would take her back to the house and feed her. They offered to accompany her, but she rejected, stating that the baby would sleep with her every night till they departed. After Sasha went away, Michael told Jason he had no idea how he was going to accomplish it. "I love Daisy so much and now I'm going to lose her," he said. "I have no idea when or if I'll see my daughter again." He began to cry as he worried about missing Daisy's life. Jason understood and soothed him but reminded him that it was the proper thing to do. Michael claimed he promised his kid that he would never be like Sonny. He just didn't expect to have to keep that vow so soon. Carly invited Jocelyn to join her in the pool and told her she loved her. She stated that she would never expect her to live a modest life, but that she should exercise caution. Jocelyn agreed. Monday, July 14, 2025. Jack urges Vaughn and Joss to promote their relationship more effectively. Michael explains to his parents why Sasha must go with the baby, and Emma is given access to Dalton's files. Read the most recent GH recap. Trina dumped Kai, Rocco contacted Albrecht, and Portia and Gannon got together. Lucy sits in the chapel and reads the Aurora narrative, which suggests Sonny ended Natalia. When Sidwell comes, she gives him a hug. He wasn't expecting to see her there, and he appreciates her support. She is sad he has to deal with the media coverage today. He fears for his son. Lucy tells him how much she enjoyed working with Natalia. He describes her as a force of nature. He is just concerned that his son will be unable to find calm if he does not receive answers. She's certain the Aurora story is fake. Who can say at this point what happened? Sidwell ponders. He tears up as he says Natalia will always have a special place in his heart, because she gave him a kid. He is simply anxious that his son will be haunted by what happened. She offers to call in some favors and get the covers removed. Marco ignores Lucas' texts until Alexis arrives to express her sorrow. She says that Sonny did not kill his mother. Aurora's story was based entirely on insinuation rather than facts. He questions why she believes Sonny had nothing to do with anything. She is convinced that Sonny would never hurt him or his mother. He values his family more than anything else. After she departs, he checks his phone again and does not respond to Lucas' newest texts. At Carly's, Michael notifies his parents that he will lose his daughter. He explains that Sasha will be leaving town with Daisy. Someone is after the baby. Sonny assumes it's about him. Someone is trying to gain his attention. Carly believes this is all insane, and Michael should prevent Sasha from leaving. He will not do that. After everything Sasha has been through, she deserves a quiet existence, and he wants to give her that. His parents pledge to provide for all of his needs. Michael informs that Jason will accompany Daisy and Sasha out of town. If he loses both Wiley and Amelia, he will be left with nothing. He can never allow Willow and Drew get custody. Gannon is delighted to run into Willow at GH. She glares at Lucas. When he approaches and is comfortable with her, Gannon orders them to clear the air. Lucas reveals that they are on opposing sides of a family issue. They begin squabbling about Drew, but Willow demands that they keep their personal matters outside of the hospital. Lucas relents and agrees. Willow admits that she had made mistakes, but she was only following her heart. He's astonished when she reveals how horrible Michael appears on paper, and she argues that he's pushed her to it. She recalls toying with Daisy to teach Michael a lesson. Brennan phones Carly to leave a message, and Vaughn and Joss enter, grumbling that Anna is watching them.